All right, we're back.
Oh, we are back.
Right.
Hello, internet, and everybody else who's watching. We are Some Nobodies. My name is Zach, and this is Dylan over here, and we are weird content creators, and we're fictional storytellers. Sometimes we also tell real stories, but only about telling fake stories later on. But anyway, yeah. So what this show is, this is Twitching UpStream. And what we do here is we have another show called Talking UpStream that comes out on Sundays. And what that show is, we interview somebody or bodies that are creators of some sorts. And we kind of like pick their brain on what makes them tick and why they create the things they create, what their process is. And we would create something original with them. We start doing that a lot. We have like 40 some episodes of that going on. You can check that out on our YouTube channel. But we wanted to take some of those projects and actually fine-tune them and work them down and not just keep putting more things in the back burner. So we created this show, Twitching UpStream, and that way we could interact live with people. And if you have any comments or anything and you want us to add things to our story, just go ahead and throw it in there. This is a live thing. This is for us to talk to you guys and make sure that we're collaborating together. So that's what we're doing. At any time, if you feel the need or even any sort of desire to shout something out, such as Mr. Jason Taylor. Hello, sir. Thank you. You also were missed. As everyone knows, sometimes we take time off. We create a lot of stuff. We do a lot of things. We also work in the real world. Dylan works way harder than I do and way more than I do. But yeah, sometimes we need some time. So if you did miss us, we apologize. But we are back mostly. And you can see us on shows like The Real Boys on Mondays and Fridays. You can see us on Wednesdays on a cool show called No Time to Binge, where we watch the first and last episodes of something and then try to figure out what happens in the middle. Tomorrow's episode is going to be on Glee, so we're watching the full series. Well, I guess the bookends of the full series. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everything else. But yeah, so we've been working on this project, Red Wichita, which turned into a spoof on the show Serial, the podcast Serial, and it's about an event that happened in Wichita and the inner workings of like the before and after, and the complexities of maybe government tie-ins and weird lizard people podcast. But yeah, before we get into any of that, I always like to throw some weird nerd news out there to see Dylan's live reactions, which are usually very muted and unaffected by my speech. But anyway, a couple of things I just wanted to throw at him.
It's on my business card.
I know. I wrote your business card, so I know that. So He-Man came out recently on Netflix. It is a really well done show. It is spearheaded by Kevin Smith. It's got a great cast of people, awesome voice cast as well, including like Mark Hamill and Olivia Munn and a couple other people. I absolutely love it, and it's like 6 episodes, I think. The cool thing about how this show worked out is that it is for people who watched the original cartoon. So it is written for the me's of the world. It is written for an adult audience who knows the story of He-Man, but actually wants an adult story. So it doesn't follow kid logic. You know, it's not laser versus lasers and nothing happens at the end. There are deaths and there are real things going on. But the most impressive thing to come out of this entire show is the sad fan base complaining because the strongest person in the show is a female character, and the show revolves around a couple female characters, which obviously is cool, so who cares? But I saw a headline that it was the worst fan base since The Last Jedi, and I thought that was so great. And it's cool that Kevin Smith is now, like, I guess the anti
an agitator.
Yeah, he's like he's a sip fanatic now, which I love. So if you haven't seen the new He-Man on Netflix, please check it out. It's very, very cool. For Dylan, do not watch it because I think we should do a No Time to Binge on that.
I was going to watch it, and then you texted and said, "Hey, this would be a good thing to do on our Wednesday show." And I'm like, "Well, guess I'm watching something else while I'm bedridden." So
yeah,
I watched the new series of Castlevania. It's very good.
Yeah, Castlevania is very good. You also watched not a great movie called Gunpowder Milkshake, which is fine. Jason, people need to calm down. Yeah, that's true.
You're right. The Last Jedi is not as bad as Space Jam 2.
No, Space Jam 2 was really not that good.
Not great.
Yeah, Corey.
Go listen to our boys review of that.
That's true. Yeah, The Last Jedi, for some reason, the people that hate that movie, they are aggressively awful people. I love Last Jedi. I think it's a phenomenally done
Some
movie.
Nobodies is on record as being pro Last Jedi.
Yeah,
both of us.
We are pro Last Jedi. Anyway, the segue from He-Man to this was that Kevin Smith is finally doing the Clerks 3 movie, and he has he's doing a all-cast reading, and obviously, like, knowing the fans and knowing how everything is, he put out a post, I think it was today, and it was pretty much saying, like, yeah, we're doing a Scripts 3 script read today. I'm hoping Brian O'Halloran is not going to be upset when he finds out that his character is killed off in the first act. And it's like, what? Like, you're going to take one of the biggest characters in your universe and just tell people you're going to come off in the first act, which I think is great. I love how Kevin Smith is attacking the fans because he has a great fan base, and I'm all about it. I think it's cool. I don't have a whole lot of nerd news because I really am very interested. I want to get back into this Red Wichita thing. So, yeah, Loki ended. So there's a lot of talks about that. If you want to know what's how we feel about that, just go ahead and ask us. That's fine.
I just want to say I was both 100% correct and also incorrect about how they would do Kang.
Yeah, I agree. You were more correct than incorrect, but also very incorrect.
Which doesn't happen very often. Usually I am dead wrong on my predictions, but that was almost word for word. He said, I've been called many things, guy, Conqueror, and I'm like...
Conqueror! Dude, the way he said that was cool, too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're in a weird dip as far as media goes. Like, Bad Batch is going on. And if you're a fan of Star Wars and you like Clone Wars, it's great. It is superfluous. You don't really need it right now. But yeah, as far as Marvel goes, Black Widow was not that great of a thing. It was more of like a solo addition to the...
3 out of 5?
Yeah, I can agree with that. Probably 2. Yeah, I'll say probably 5 out of 10, 2.5 out of 5.
Hey.
But yeah, so the next series we got is the Marvel What Ifs, which is coming out in August. We have another movie coming out later on, but there's really not a whole lot going on. I did read that James Gunn recently put out that the Suicide Squad, the name The Suicide Squad, was actually a joke. It was called the Dogs of War for a long time, and he wasn't sure what to name it. And as a joke, he wrote, capital The Suicide Squad when he handed in his first draft, and everyone thought that was so funny, so they kept that. I think it's great. But anyway,
screw it. Yeah,
let's chat about Red Wichita real fast. Before we get into that, though, we want to thank some people for keeping us going and for hanging out. Number one, obviously, you have Scott Curtis for Behind the Bits. Great podcaster, great interviewer. We want to thank him a whole lot. He's been awesome to us since kind of our beginning, ever since Silicon Angels came out years and years and years ago, way back before COVID.
In the long ago.
Yeah, in the before 4. Anyway, obviously, Sarah Takacic, Tanya Sheck, some of our East Coast friends. We got some cool people out there. Jeff Dwaska and his stuff. But we have obviously we're on the Scene Snobs Network, which is going through its things. It's doing whatever it's doing. Yeah, we're still going to be doing our shows. Everything's still going to be going the same. But a very important thing is happening on Friday. So if you hang out with us on Fridays, or if you hang out with Scene Snobs on Friday, we do have Help the Milbies. Big deal. 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. They're doing a really great thing for the Milbies. They're really they want to help out. They're doing one of their drive charity long-term episode things. And Mick Manhattan is awesome when he does these. I don't know how he does it. I talk a lot. I don't know how he does all that. But you can actually catch out the Real Boys. We're going to contribute as much as we can. So at 11 p.m. Eastern, we're going to hop on, which for our time, Colorado time, is 8 p.m. We're going to do a review of Mick Manhattan's favorite movie, Back to the Future, which we haven't talked about for some reason. It's not on anyone's list. So this would be cool. So yeah, so if you're here on Friday, please check out the Scene Snobs, a great little charity they're trying to get together. Jason Taylor, obviously he's sharing the crap out of this thing. I want to thank him for sharing this post so much. You're doing a great job. But yeah, Friday, we Real Boys doing Back to the Future and also some stuff. Scene Snobs doing a whole bunch of stuff. But until then, let's get into this. So Red Wichita was a concept that we created on this show in episode 6. Yep. And it's based around a fictional podcast where a travesty happens in the city of Wichita. And there's some weird inner workings, and a sleuthy reporter / podcaster finds out some stuff and puts together this elaborate and perplexing story that goes on. So I'll let Dylan kind of get us caught up as to what we're doing, where we're at, and what we got to accomplish with the rest of this episode.
Yeah, so I'm going to screen share right here. This is our little development document we've been using to track the progress through this story. I don't remember the initial conception for this idea. I remember the episode, but I think it started from a text message you sent me about, I think, was that? I don't remember. I'll have to go back and listen to it. But we did this idea on the story on the Twitching UpStream for a 6-episode podcast in the style of Serial, so it's kind of like an independent journalism kind of project, where the main character, Daphne Driver, is presenting this podcast because some friends of hers who are humanoid reptilian podcasting people got killed because they were based in Wichita, which got invaded and taken over by a supervillain who has plate tectonic ground control powers, high-level earth bending. This is a 6-episode series where Daphne will outline the backstory to who's involved. The bad guy, Red Emperor, can control like Earth and like bring lava up. Superion is like a Superman pastiche. He's got an eye gem that can shoot lasers. You can hear more about him in our story for Last Hero on Talking UpStream way back when. We've got backstories on a whole bunch of different people who kind of show up on the side. And then as she goes through this story, she starts building the links together. And if you could imagine the conspiracy corkboard that you see in a lot of media, you're going to see, yeah, Jason, of course, we're glad to. We'll have a link on this show closer to the end so you guys can find the GoFundMe and contribute if you have anything to go for. Red Wichita, so she interviews a bunch of people who were based in Wichita about what it was like in the time before that, why Red Emperor targeted Wichita, because it's a breadbasket city. It's in the center of the country. It's got minor strategic importance, and it's not really well looked after. She covers the occupation itself, what the city was like under Red Emperor's rule, because he was only in charge for 3 weeks before he was brought down. And the big mystery that she starts to uncover is why it took Superion so long to come to the defense of the city. Because Superion is like, you know, Superman style. Red Emperor is like B tier because he's powerful, but he's not invincible or like impossible to find or super durable. She outlines what goes on in the actual catastrophe, which is when Superion decides to come in and clean stuff up. She notices a strange, I want Devin to read books to me at night.
Yeah, Devin's got a great voice. He can read me some books too. That's good. That's cool. Maybe it was Dylan.
Maybe, I don't know. You're very fortunate to hear this today. I've had a throat issue for the past week and a half, so this is the first time I've been on stream in a while.
That's true. That's
thank
cute
you, Jason.
That's cute that you want Dylan to read books. I would like Dylan to read my text messages at night time.
I read them. I don't necessarily respond to all of them. She goes over the fight between Superion and Red Emperor. Yeah. Well, now he's calling you Jesus, so that's kind of cool.
I'm Jesus. That's fair. You're Dylan. This is a crazy story about Jesus and Dylan.
Welcome to Jesus and Devin. This is Twitching UpStream.
Zach will be playing Jesus, and Dylan is playing the role of Devin today.
Usually people call me Derek. That's usually the one I get. But or they call me Terry because I have 2 first names, so they'll call me Terry Dylan, and I'm like, nope, you got that backwards. But we see the actual catastrophe go through where Superion causes a lot of collateral damage when he liberates the city. And Daphne starts to connect the dots that a lot of these buildings that get destroyed are high profile, like financial firms or banks or other businesses that are all owned by various shell corporations. Episode 5 covers the immediate aftermath of the fight, or the aftermath of the fight, what Superion did, how the insurance companies responded, how the citizens responded to their 3 weeks under essentially foreign occupation. Rescue operations interview with various people about what's going on. We throw some shade at like government and that sort of, because we always do. And then that's kind of where we wound up. Episode 5 of 6 has been developed. We are looking at episode 4, or episode 6 rather. And I think that's kind of the ramp up that we dealt with, right? And episode 6 is kind of where Daphne kind of brings her point home and tries to really kind of set up her call to action, so to speak.
Yeah. So do you think that episode 5 ending ties in pretty good to the beginning of 6?
I think so.
All right, cool. So
yeah.
All right, great. So the things that we want to accomplish with episode 6, which is going to tie up and wrap up this entire story.
Yes.
What are your bullet points for episode 6?
So episode 6 right now, what we have written down is we are talking about 2 years later. What happened?
Cool. Now, what we need to do with the entirety of episode 6 is to uncover the plot, address the plot, and then also so if we're going to do a 2 years later, is this a thing where the 2 years later starts with, here's what I did 2 years ago about the confrontation, and then is that what we're doing? Is the confrontation to Superion going to be in here?
We could let's say we do the first segment is Daphne's like initial attempts to get information, like her initial response to the catastrophe. Like what could she have done immediately after all of this went down? Like I don't think at that point she has. So because the inciting incident for her involvement in this is that she was given audio files from her lizard people friends that included the sound of Superion's eye gem firing, and then they died.
Dude, this is a cool story.
Right? Okay. So she doesn't get that immediately. So I think this should be kind of like why now I get to the point I probably should have elaborated in the first episode why I'm starting this, and then, well, no, because I think she plays that audio in the first episode. But this is where she goes back and gives it context.
Okay, now I guess my question is, when is she going to learn the crucial information? Is this going to be before the 2 years later, or is this going to be after 2 years later? So I need to know, what the conclusion of Red Emperor, when he dipped. I need to know what happened right then. I need to know at some point how Daphne confronted Superion, and then I need to know when that happened. So immediately after this event, Red Emperor stops because Superion shows up. We don't really know exactly what happens there. All we know is Red Emperor is given a pardon with
his sentence is reduced to civil service.
Okay, yeah.
He's stopping the San Andreas fault from progressing.
Yeah, and then also like future worldwide earthquakeal catastrophes.
Yes.
So he gets a pseudo pardon with the thought that he's going to work for pretty much the UN or the world.
The DPI.
Yeah,
the Department of Powered Individuals with Dean Powers.
He signed the Sokovia Accords. And okay, so Daphne finds out what happens. Now she gets this information. I'm assuming this like around the time this event ends, right?
I figured the cleanup would have taken several months because Superion knocks a few buildings down, and it's not easy to lower all the earth walls that he created. So I'd say like 6 months later or so, she gets a package. So
after all is said and done in Wichita, she receives a package. In that package is the audio file of this, and that's what sparks all of this whole mystery uncovering. Correct?
Yeah, okay. I think so.
Now, so from the 6 months until the 2 year mark, we have all of these episodes 1 through 5, and all of her uncovering of data, right?
I figured this series in universe would be released 2 years after the event. For a year and a half, she's been compiling this information.
Yeah.
6 months after the event is when she first got the tip. And then that has been her building all of this case files, and she is releasing this 2 years after the event to the day.
Yeah. Now, what would you say if we wanted to work backwards? What is a good conclusion for this story in totality. It was about sponsorship, right? Is that what it was? It was about money?
It was about this mega corporation sponsoring like superheroes and supervillains, and I mean, beyond the message of like funneling dark money to both sides of a cause just to make money, and how that causes issues. Like,
well, are we going to do a thing where Red Emperor is technically the good guy here? Like, if Megacorp or Paravision or whatever this guy is, it Megacorp? Is that what it was?
that's what we're calling it in like.
I'm cool with that.
This prototyping, we're not going to call it Megacorp in the
I just didn't want to confuse anybody. So Megacorp had I guess a conversation with some super powered individuals about who they're going to financially support. And I guess Red Emperor was one of those at the meeting, and he was not happy with the fact that they were going to let him go because they felt his power set was not that important. Or something. We got. I like the idea of maybe Red Emperor not being. Wait. Okay. Pause.
Okay.
Red Emperor is also Tucker Carlson, right?
Kind of. Yeah. He's a rich kid.
Yeah. Okay. So scratch all that. We don't need him to be some kind of secret hero. I think that would be a cool plot development. But
the reveal is less that he's a hero and more that everybody involved is a villain, including Superion.
All right. So Daphne has to, so she's compiled all of her stuff, and she has to, at some point in this episode, talk to Superion, right?
She has to at least, she gets a response from Superion.
Does she also talk to Megacorp?
I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
She should talk to like a PR person, right? For Megacorp. Because we need to resolve.
She talks to Superion with a Megacorp attorney present.
Yeah.
Like, and who's your practice through? It's like, well, we're from Mega Corporate Associations. It's like, of course.
Megacorp, Schwartz, and Driver.
Meg, Aco, and Orp.
Yeah. It's like, wait a minute. If I say those
my
fast.
God.
Yeah.
Red string just across the corkboard.
Oh my God, these are lawyers.
And the red string spells out Superion did it.
Follow the laser beams.
When you connect the dots, it's clear, and it just reads out Superion is a shill.
I love that.
But I think
we need a solid reveal, though. I think we need a really good tight ending. You know, like she does this thing because Megacorp is forcing superpowered individuals to fight for monetary gain / sponsorship or whatever. Somebody that she knows has passed away. What is the reveal? Does Megacorp just say, yes, we did it?
Like prove it in court?
And not even that. It's like, hey, why is it our responsibility to pay for superheroes? Like, you know, hey, I'm sorry. And it's like, well, Superion said that he'll do it for this amount of money. And it's like, yeah, but you know what I mean? Like if maybe say like Lex Luthor goes to Amazon and is like, look, Jeff Bezos, I'm going to destroy this world unless you give me a certain amount of money. And Jeff Bezos has the money, and he's like, why is it my responsibility to save the world? Like, why do I got to spend my money, you know? And what do you think about something like that? Because I think we need a solid, like a shocking reveal.
I think you're on the right track. I think it's just like, what we did is not illegal in any way. Like, because we do reveal in the previous episode that Red Emperor, Megacorp owns a disaster relief contract for Wichita, so they're kind of like making money on every side of this incident. And cool. Red Emperor is just like, I mean, yeah, Megacorp owns all, like, you know, they're pretty clear in the open about this. And then, I like the idea that they're just like, I mean, what we've done is not illegal. We've earned the goodwill of most of the country by rebuilding this city. If we made some money off the back of it.
Think about all the jobs we've created by having Wichita demolished. All right, so talk me through the reveal here. So Daphne talks to Red Emperor, and he's like, yeah, okay, what was his initial motive? Just he wanted to be left alone?
Which one?
Red Emperor.
He was making cash he was a supervillain, and he was getting endorsed to I don't know, probably stay away from various things to I think what it was is that the initial incident in Wichita happened because Megacorp approached him and was like, "Hey, we provide through some like secondary corporations, we provide you with financial stuff. Why don't you do this for us and we will make sure that you're brought in on like the contract or something like that."
Yeah.
So I guess we just need some way for Daphne to affect this on like a large scale in the setting. You know what I mean? Originally, we hadn't come up with much of an ending. It was here on screen is the original bullet points we had from the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
It was efforts to like legislate superheroics. Some interviews with Makeshift, a superhero, about what the rebuilding efforts looked like. Maybe the mayor audio presidential press conference about it. And then I think it was her kind of using the podcast as a way to reveal Superion's complicit like actions in this whole thing.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I also think that it should be how bad Megacorp is also. So like say that Daphne talks to the government, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, why didn't you guys go in and do something? And the government's like, we don't have the technology to fight somebody like Superion. We have to outsource this, like we don't even have the technology to hold prisoners. That's why we outsource that. It's privatized. So now like the government has to go to like Megacorp to privatize I guess just basic safety. And so when Red Emperor stood up against it, there was nobody to do anything. So now we have, I guess it's like, who's in charge for saving the world? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not our government's job. It's not the UN's job. It is literally the rich. It's literally the richest people whose job it is to save our planet.
That's a good tagline.
What?
The catastrophe in Wichita. Who's in charge of saving the world?
Oh, dude, there you go. I love it.
Yeah. And then her last one is, and we blend, for me and you, we blend some real life politics into like, who's in charge of keeping this world safe? It's like we've allowed things, and I say we in a fictional and real life situation. We're getting political on Twitching UpStream today.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why we did this. Like who we've handed this like massive ability to affect the planet to these people who have decided to take all of the proceeds from that and take it themselves, and we shouldn't be at the mercy of that. And we apply that to a superhero setting. And do we leave this on like a relatively open-ended like conclusion where Daphne is just like get involved, like take action as best you can, or learn your own facts, like, because like, so maybe if it's do your own research.
Exactly. Like maybe if the whole thing starts with like Megacorp being like the saviors of this incident because they, got together the funds to hire Superion. And it's like, and Daphne's like, I just need to know why people see Megacorp as the heroes of this situation. And as like she does her uncovering, it turns out that they're really the cause of it. And if you want to look at it, it's kind of like the same thing we do like with homeless people, like we force them into poverty and then make it almost impossible for them to get out of the poverty, while also saying that they're the reason for a lot of things. So
you put spikes on open areas that pop up at night. You remove seating from public train stations. You criminalize homelessness without providing a way out of it. Yeah.
Because what happens is the homeless now go into privatized prisons where now the government is making money off of the homeless instead of having a problem with them. So I like this idea of not knowing who really is the one who's.
I have a question.
Right? Yeah.
How grim do we want this ending to be? Because if it's just Daphne being like, I'm doing this to reveal what people are up to. Now it's up to you to actually affect change. Do we want it to end like that? because
I think it should be something where, depending on how you view the incident, it's going to look as a good thing. You know, like when you look back at certain things like Vietnam, like, oh man, America went there and we saved the day. And it's like, whoa, okay, that's actually not how that happened whatsoever. You know, and it's like people are like, oh, Megacorp come in and save the day for Wichita. And but what she knows is that it's not like that. So I think that it is grim but jaded.
What if the final part of the podcast is her call to action, and then the actual final part is like, in the year and a half since I started making this podcast, and in the 6 months since I've released it, like she releases an addendum kind of where it's like, in the 6 months since I've started releasing Red Wichita, we've seen these changes being made, and we go through a list of what the setting's been doing, and it's some progress, and then it ends with her being like, but baby steps are baby steps, and in order to climb out of the pit we've dug ourselves, we have to work together, or something like that.
Yeah, I like that. I like the fact that because of this incident, maybe there's a worldwide reactionary team. Maybe because of this and what she's uncovered, there's some positive things moving forward, like the FEMA. But it turns out, in her very last point is, and yet, Mega Corporation has still made in essence of $27 billion off of this one incident that they possibly caused, you know, making Megacorp like the Dick Cheney of the world.
What if, do you remember what the name of the superhero team in Last Hero was? The Avengers copy? Do you remember what that was?
No, I mean, I can look it up, but no, not offhand. Why?
What if this is an origin story for like, and the world started putting together like an internationally sourced team, like a UN of superheroes almost, like.
So like this event like kind of makes the Justice League.
Kind of. This is the origin story for like how Earth got its defense team together, and then we do Last Hero as a continuation of the story, and they get rocked in the first chapter.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds cool.
I
don't know if we actually gave their team a name though.
We didn't, but they had some cool heroes on it. Queen Jackal, Time Burn.
Yeah, Macro Detonator.
Yes.
Betsy Eldridge. Against Knife Wolf. Knife Wolf
and Reverse Revolver.
Yep, Reverse Revolver.
Shoots backwards in time. Oh my god, that was a fun one.
So this is a prequel to Last Hero then?
I think we had always kind of implied it, because Superion dies at the start of Last Hero.
Yeah, and that is like Red Emperor kind of coming back and getting pissed off that he
fills the gap.
Yeah, and then he tries to recreate the Mount Rushmore.
Mount Redmore.
Yeah, Mount Redmore, yeah.
Where it's just 4 versions of his face. Well, yeah, because then at the beginning of when all of the superheroes die in the beginning of Last Hero, Red Emperor's like, cool, there's nobody to stop me from just not doing this work anymore. So that's when he becomes
Mount Redmore. No, I love it. I love that he's like a mustache twirling criminal.
Yeah.
All right, cool. And so all 6 is kind of tight, right? Like it's put together.
Let's expand just a little bit on some of these individual points, just because we have time.
Sure.
So like Daphne's initial attempts to get information. She was a reporter for the Wichita Eagle, and her friends die in the attack.
Mm-hmm.
She received the audio file package 6 months after the attack. Do we want to reveal who sent her that? Because I don't think we ever figured out how she got it.
Yeah. So how did she get it?
Well, we have a few heroes who might have actually been good choices to do that. We got Moonshadow.
Yeah, there was.
We've got Heavy Step, Doc Quantum. We've got Silver Shield. We have
what
have Dean Powers.
What's Doc Quantum's powers?
Doc Quantum gives people superheroes temporarily, and he's got the reason he survived is that he hid in his Schrodinger's box, where he was neither dead nor alive until someone opened it up.
Yeah, so I had this idea that whoever gave her the evidence gave it to her from the future. So when she confronts them, they don't know about it yet.
Could be
What do you
Betsy
think about
Eldridge.
that? Yeah, Betsy Eldridge.
Madam Eldritch.
Yeah. And it's like, but you sent me this stuff. And it's like, hun, look at the stamp. It's dated for a year and a half of now, like when all of this is done. Like at the like the like the release of the podcast. She's like, yeah, I listened to your podcast and I wanted to send you this information to make sure that you were going on the right path. So she doesn't know how she got the information just yet. I think that sounds interesting.
Well, we'll have an interview with Betsy Eldridge where she's like, now, what my initial response was started by receiving this package, and it told me not to open this envelope until I started recording the final episode of the podcast. And it's like, so I'm going to read this live. I have not opened this yet. I'm going to read this live while recording. My address so and so, signed Betsy Eldridge, and then the next segment is her interviewing Betsy Eldridge, and it's like, oh, I must not have sent that to you yet. What do you mean? Well, look at the date. Well, yeah. That's like 6 years from now. Why do you wait so long? And it's like, well, there's a plan in motion and I act according to it. That's frustratingly vague. That's not really satisfying.
She's like, yeah, it took me about 6 years to get into podcasts. That's why I found yours.
Like, but you haven't gotten into podcasts yet. It's like, no, I can't stand them. That changes in about 4 years.
So boring. So boring. None of them are relatable.
Until I got a little older. Yeah, and she always speaks in past tense, even about the future.
Yep. Oh, hon,
I'm going
to love podcasts later on. Don't worry.
Listen, Daphne, just know, and she gives her some cryptic clue about when things get bad in about 10 years, which is a reference to Last Hero. And then we can have some reference to Daphne and Last Hero for the sharp-eared listeners. Just because we're establishing our universe.
Our snafu's popping off.
Snafu. Some Nobodies, a film universe. A fictional universe. There we go.
A fictional universe with some non-fictional elements, just so that we don't know. All right, cool. So I like that reveal. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
And that way, if she does interview somebody, they don't know why they helped. They will. Number 2, Wichita recovers the recovery efforts interview with Makeshift. So the recovery efforts are pretty much that Megacorp spent a lot of money to hire people to rebuild, to set up new infrastructure, to rework all the roadways, and it actually is like a more improved city. They somehow made it a harbor town.
It's an air harbor. It's an air hub.
Yeah.
It used to be Dallas-Fort Worth. Now Wichita Airport's really popping off, which is oh god, I've been through the Wichita Airport a whole bunch. It's awful.
Yeah, you used to hang out there, and I never understood why.
Megacorp owns a majority of the city now, but it's all cutting-edge technology.
I love that. And everyone's like, yeah, I'm so glad that Megacorp came in here and, changed everything and started giving everybody jobs. All right. So number 3, superhero legislation and response. So because of this, and because of Megacorp's help with pushing legislation, and because they wanted to be in the forefront of privatizing superhero acts and superhero camps, they are the ones with the help. Wasn't like somebody's twin a politician in this or something? Didn't we have like some weird politician? I
don't remember.
Yeah. So anyway, Megacorp, who's ran by mostly politicians and other villains / heroes, they get the worldwide super villain relief package. Signed by the UN plus 6 countries.
Yeah. An international agreement overseeing superheroics is drafted.
An interplanetary. Including the moon, just in case.
And
there's an addendum on there. And everything that the Earth owns, including the moon and the sun.
Yeah. We claim ownership of the Milky Way.
Yeah. Well, we definitely own the
solar system.
Yeah, we definitely own the sun.
Yeah.
All right, number 4.
An international response team in case anything like this happens. Again, it's not fully formed yet, but progress is being made.
Yeah, and then we can even have And maybe we can even have like either flashbacks or side stories of like random superheroes just getting like their new uniform in the mail with like a contract.
Yeah.
It's like, if you put this suit on, you are now explicitly a property of Megacorp, and you'll have a pager, and we'll tell you when and where you need to be.
Yeah.
All right, 4. Superion response with Megacorp attorney present. Yeah, I think that's really funny. So Daphne talks to Superion with his lawyer present, their lawyer present, which is a Megacorp lawyer also,
Yep.
and a superhero. Maybe that's Dean Powers.
I don't think he's a lawyer. He works for the DPI.
Oh, okay. Oh, sure, yeah. And do you think that is it funny?
It's clerical error from our Cape Fear reboot.
Dude, that's a great name. I like that.
Clerical error, the superhero attorney.
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, if you don't know what that is, check out the 3 Geeks. We were putting this in this contest. Geeks. Yeah, 3 Geeks contest to, like, I guess, rewrite stories.
It was a reboot revolution. We got outplayed in that final round. I will admit, by having us be their writers, they made it.
But I think that gives us a point in itself. I honestly feel that we got dogged in that competition.
You hear us, Jason Taylor?
Yeah, if you're not responsible, if you're still listening to this, you are 100% responsible for us not winning that entire thing, and we need more favoritism for us to go back and do it next time. Okay, so we got that. 5 is good. Yeah, I like that conversation. So, what is Superion going to reveal? So it's pretty much like she asks a question, and then like Superion like motions to the lawyer, right? And the lawyer's like, "You can answer this one." And Superion's like, no. And then she's like, why did it take you so long? Why did it take you 3 weeks to get here? And Superion looks at the lawyer. The lawyer's like, go ahead and answer it. And he's like, no comment.
Well, I think we need to get closure on his murder of her reptilian friends.
Well, yeah, that's got to come out though. Like, she plays the clip, and she presents the evidence, and then maybe what we get out of that is his aggression, right? Maybe we start hearing his eye powering up, and the lawyer's like, whoa. we can't handle one of these. There's a camera here.
Yeah. Or like, she does something to get through his armor for a second, and he starts like, he's like, I can't possibly remember everybody who's died around me. Do you have any idea what I have to deal with? And then she somehow gets through his, you know what I mean?
Maybe he has like an alibi. So maybe he has like, there was another event, and he's like, look, as everyone knows, I was in Madagascar for the Bleeding Rain event. And they're like, was that the same time? And it's like, yeah, I was there for 2 weeks, and it's like, all I know is that I had a meeting, and somehow I like him like having real explanation, but also slipping up. And he's like, all I remember is like Red Wichita something, and it's like, well, if you were at the Blood Rain in Madagascar, then how did you talk to I don't know. I like him having an alibi, and I also like him getting very angry at her for almost every question.
We can do something where she somehow manipulates him into slipping up to the point where the lawyer tells him like, no more, don't answer any more of these questions.
Yeah. And the lawyer's like, hey, we got to stop this interview. And she's like, why? And then maybe like you hear his eye charging up again, and then that's like the end of the clip or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, it turned out that he zapped my recorder, and luckily all my stuff was on the cloud or whatever.
Yeah. She had remote uploads.
Yeah. 5, Daphne reveals Superion and Megacorp's involvement, reveal the government's inability to fight these superheroes without privatized assistance. Yeah, I think that's cool.
Yeah. This is just her running down, like she runs down the points she's made.
Yeah. Okay, so I do think that we either need. So, I mean, in all fairness, Superion could just confess.
He could.
I mean, he could have diplomatic immunity or something, and he's like, why should I have got there earlier? And she's like, but you're a superhero. And he's like, yeah, but why should I have?
Or he does the thing where it's like, superhero is a label that people assign to like those of us who go out and do this sort of thing.
Yeah.
I never claim to be anything more than.
He's like, yeah, he gives that whole speech like, hey, honestly, a hero is only the perception of the people that are winning. And, you know, I've been called many, many things. I've been called a hero to some villages that I was trying to stop. I've been called the devil. You're just the next one to call me something. You know, like one of those kind of like perceptionary things.
That's
And
great. You're just the next person to call me the villain.
yeah.
But look at what Wichita is like today.
Yeah. He's like, but how many people call me hero?
He's an ends justify the means kind of guy.
Yep. But so there has to be, so he killed one of these reptilian podcasters, right?
I figured he killed all of them.
Okay, because I remember like one was listening into a conversation, and that's when like they were found out, and so maybe Daphne confronts him about that, like, hey, what do you know about this person? And it's like, oh, you mean the traitor that was sneaking in on a government meeting? And it's like, yeah, that's treason. We executed him. And it's like, well, no, like, no. Because I like the idea of blurring these lines of like, you know, political and just humanitarian. Like, what's right by who? What do you think about that?
Yeah, for performing
like
espionage on behalf of the subterranean reptilian empire.
Yeah,
and she's like, they have been expats for, you know.
And it's like, well, then why were they spying on my conversation then? You know,
yeah.
So she goes through a lot.
I mean, I guess Superion just gets away, but
that's the thing. Like, I think at first he did not like legally denies it, you know, and then at the end, like the lawyer's like, this needs to end, and then Superion's like, actually, I don't know why I'm even playing this game. Nothing can happen to me. Yeah, I killed your friend. Yeah, I did this. I take my time? Sure. What are you going to do about it? Who else could have stopped it? I stopped it when I got there.
You think your podcast is going to get me in prison? What prison?
It's like, so what? We could leave here together and people will still find me a hero. I still save lives. I saved the goddamn moon.
Yeah.
Okay. So
that's a good one. I like that line.
Yeah. So 5, I like that. 6 is call to action. So who's in charge of saving the world? So I guess at this, what we can maybe have here is some interviews with regular people who now live in Wichita about a year and a half later, and how happy they are with Megacorp. And like they, you know, it's like, Megacorp. Now we get checks in the mail, and like Megacorp sends food to us weekly. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh man, if it wasn't for Superion and Megacorp, things would have been so bad. And they're like, do you remember what happened here? Yeah. And they're like, I don't know. I think that's not how things went down. And now there's like Wichita deniers. Yeah. And it's like, no, Megacorp came in one day and just did all the infrastructure. It's like, no. All right. So 7. In the time since I've started this podcast, progress has been made, but we have to keep fighting. Worldwide reactionary team put together origin of the Avengers.
Quote unquote.
Yeah. What are they? Yeah. What's a cool name for the Avengers? It's it's not avenge. What's like what's something that how do you what's like the pretense of avenge? How do you avenge something before that? Like a prevenge, but not
preemptors.
That sounds dumb.
Super Action Team Go. Sat G.
Ugh, that's yucky. But we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. So pretty much what we're doing here is this is the sequel for a weird concept we made up on Talking UpStream called Last Hero. And what this is prequel. Called, now this is a prequel to Last Hero called Red Wichita, a 6-part miniseries based on the after effects of what happens in a corporation / super villain contractual argument, really. Yeah. And how people are going to misremember history yet again. This will be the story of erasure, if anything else.
Yeah.
I like that.
And now we've got a 6-hour series on the development of this.
Yeah, so we're gonna. So I'm gonna charge Dylan with writing a script for 6 1-hour episodes.
Yep.
And hopefully, if things work out right, we're gonna do like a live reading of this and see how this kind of works out, because we like that idea of writing a script and having like weird live readings. And I think that was the very earliest precipice of what we were trying to do with Talking Upstream. It's like create an idea, work on an idea, finish the idea. But either way. So that is another weird thing that we made, and it's called Red Wichita. You can find that and everything that we do over at Some Nobodies, and see how the progression of that's going. Next week on Tuesday, we're going to start a new project. Dylan, do you know which one we're going to do?
I think we're doing Force Limited. It's the story of a few robots who are suddenly sent on a quest by a dying man who breaks into their diner.
Love that idea.
We ran it on the rerun last week when both of us were out of commission, and I was listening to it, and I'm just like, all right, this is a pretty fun one, and let's do a one-off.
Just like a quick, like here's what we would do to put that together.
I mean, it might take more than one episode, but let's do a non-series idea.
Cool. Yeah, all right. So next week on Tuesday, we're going to work on one that we called Force Limit. I'll also put a link to that episode in the show notes for this. So if you want to get like an early understanding of what we're going to be doing next week, check it out. Like I said, if you look at our YouTube channel, you'll see all of our Talking Up streams, all of our Twitching Up streams, the evolution of what we're doing, some other weird stuff. But mostly, and most importantly, we just want to thank you guys for paying attention to us. We like talking. We like making up stories. And because of you, we get to do that. So thank you first and foremost, and honestly, even last, and all the ones in the middle. Without you, we would have no reason to do this. So thank you, thank you. And all the regular stuff that we talk about. Obviously, we have a short film coming out soon called "Give Me Back." We do have a GoFundMe for that. Dylan wrote this really cool 13-ish minute little thriller that we got a director, got a cinematographer, got a big cast and crew together, and actually put this together. So we're working on the post-production of that. We do have a couple mini projects in mind that we're doing, in the same universe. Most of our stuff kind of revolves on the same universe. So we have a bunch of weird little mini projects. You can see and help us out really over at Patreon. Just check out patreon.com/Some Nobodies. You can see the stuff. You can help us out. You can help us create more weird stuff. Obviously, what we're trying to do is talk ourselves up to a streaming service, Twitch ourselves up to a streaming service, really just sell out hardcore and make something for people to look at and go, well, that wasn't that great, but I appreciate them for making it.
Look at what these guys can do.
Yeah. Hey, look, those guys made that. And that's all we want. People that do help us out that we definitely want to thank. Tonya Sheck, Sarah Tkachuk, and Scott Curtis over Behind the Bits. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate all of your support. Scene Snobs, whatever you guys are doing, we're most likely going to hang out with you. So check out what they're doing up until Friday. And like I said, Friday is a very big deal for them. They're going to have a great little thing for the Milbies here. Dylan put up the GoFundMe link. Check that out. Yeah, people need some help, man. Like, we need help making movies, but some people actually need real help. And this group does need some help. So all Friday, what Scene Snobs are going to do is this big 12-hour bonanza thing where we're going to try to help out a family and help out some friends. And you can check out the Real Boys at 8 p.m. Mountain Time, 11 p.m. 9 p.m. Mountain Time.
No, it's 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Oh my God, I might actually be there. 11 p.m. Eastern?
No, that 11 Eastern is 8 Pacific.
Oh yeah, you're right. We're not Western.
We'll be on 11 p.m. 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Mountain Time. Yeah. At Zack and Dylan's time, we'll be on 9 p.m. If you're on the East Coast, 11 p.m. But yeah, we'll be reviewing Back to the Future with the rest of our friends. You can check us out on our new show on Wednesdays called No Time to Binge with our awesome friends, Matt Deterior and Michael Colby from Jack Billings, and the super cool B Highland from Deep Lore. That's such a great, fun show. I think this week we're even being, we have a friend, G Silers to come out and hang out and talk about
tell us all about Glee.
They're going to tell us how good Glee should have been but wasn't. I guess that's really it. I don't know, man. Like, listen to CYOP Appeal. Yeah, Dylan,
you've never seen a podcast like it, I guarantee you.
You can't even see a podcast, but if you could, you wouldn't have seen one like this. Dylan wrote 17 cool episodes. You get to pick and choose how you want the story to go based on what your desires are.
And then Zach edited these puzzle pieces together into a mesh. It's not even a line; it's just a mesh.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool to put together, and it proves that riddling can work.
Yeah.
But either way, once again, and like I keep saying, most importantly, thank you so much just for giving us any attention whatsoever. Until next time, guys, I've been Zach, and he's been Dylan, and you've been great, and we'll see you when we see you.
Yeah, take it easy out there, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye, 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 bye.
Thank you.